Roger and Harry. A Sudbury Story, Chapter 1. Another Tuesday. The afternoon sun cut through the grimy window of Roger Deschamps's trailer like it was trying to expose something shameful, which, to be fair, it was. The place smelled like stale cigarettes, spilled beer, and the particular kind of defeat that came from being 38 years old and living in a single-wide in capriole with nothing to show for it but a truck that barely ran, and a collection of unpaid bills that could wallpaper the bedroom. Roger sat on his couch, a brown corduroy thing he'd pulled from someone's curb 5 years ago, and stared at his phone. The screen showed his bank balance, $47.23. Rent was due in 4 days. Rent was $650. The math didn't work. The math never worked. "You gonna answer that?" Harry LeBlanc said from the kitchen, where he was making instant coffee with water from the tap because the kettle had died last month and Roger hadn't replaced it. "Answer what?" "Your phone's been buzzing for like 10 minutes. Roger looked down. 3 missed calls from a number he didn't recognize. Probably a collection agency. Probably the power company. Probably someone he owed money to, which was basically everyone. "I'm not answering it," Roger said. "Smart." Harry came into the living room carrying 2 mugs of coffee that looked like dishwater. He was 41, 3 years older than Roger, and looked like he'd been 41 for the past decade. Thinning hair, permanent bags under his eyes, the kind of face that suggested he'd seen some shit and hadn't been impressed by any of it. He handed Roger a mug and sat down in the recliner that didn't recline anymore. Outside, someone's dog was barking. It had been barking for 3 hours. Nobody cared enough to make it stop. "EI run out yet?" Harry asked. 2 weeks ago. Fuck. Yeah. They sat in silence, drinking coffee that tasted like regret. The TV was on, some judge show where people screamed at each other about money they didn't have. Roger watched it without really watching it. He'd seen this episode before. He'd seen every episode before. They were all the same. "I got an idea," Roger said. Harry closed his eyes. "No. You didn't even hear it. I don't need to hear it. Every time you got an idea, I end up broke or in trouble or both. This is different. It's never different." Roger leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his coffee sloshing slightly in the mug. "You remember Darren Bouchard? The guy who sold you that snowmobile that caught fire? That wasn't his fault. The engine was bad. He knew the engine was bad. Okay, yeah, but that's not the point. Point is, Darren's working security now. Night shifts out at that old mining site in Cartier. You know the one, off Highway 144? Harry opened his eyes. "The one that's been closed for like 15 years? Exactly. And Darren says there's still copper wire all over the place. Miles of it. Just sitting there, doing nothing. Says the company that owns it went bankrupt and nobody's touched it since. So, copper's worth money, Harry. Good money. We could go out there, grab a few £100 of it, sell it to Marcel over in Hanmer. He buys scrap, no questions asked. We could make 5, maybe 10 grand easy." Harry stared at him. "You want to steal copper wire from an abandoned mining site?" "I'm not calling it stealing. I'm calling it salvage. The cops call it stealing. The cops ain't gonna know. Darren's gonna know. He works security. Darren's the one who told me about it. He's in on it. Says he'll look the other way if we cut him in for 20%. Harry took a long sip of his coffee. It was cold now, which somehow made it taste worse. He looked at Roger, really looked at him, and saw the same thing he always saw. A man who believed, despite all evidence to the contrary, that the next scheme would be the one that worked. That the next idea would be the one that saved them. "How much copper we talking?" Harry asked. Roger's face lit up. "Darren says there's at least 1,000 pounds of it. Maybe more. Clean wire, too. The good stuff. And how we supposed to move 1,000 pounds of copper? We rent a truck. U-Haul's got a special right now, $50 a day. We don't have $50. We will after we sell the copper. Roger, that's not how money works. I know how money works. Do you? Because last time you had an idea, we ended up selling your TV to pay for gas. That was different. How? Because this time I got it all figured out. We go out there Friday night. Darren's working the shift, so he'll make sure nobody bothers us. We load up the truck, drive it straight to Marcel's, sell the copper, split the money. In and out, 2 hours tops. Harry set his mug down on the coffee table, which was actually just a piece of plywood balanced on 2 milk crates. He rubbed his face with both hands the way he always did when he was trying to talk himself out of something he knew he was going to do anyway. "What if we get caught?" he said. "We won't. But what if we do? Then we say we didn't know it was illegal. We thought it was abandoned. We thought we were helping clean the place up. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. You got a better excuse?" Harry didn't. He never did. That was the problem with Roger. He was always 3 steps ahead in the wrong direction, and Harry was always 3 steps behind, trying to keep up. "I don't like it," Harry said. "You don't gotta like it. You just gotta help me load the truck. And if something goes wrong, nothing's gonna go wrong. You always say that. And I'm always right." "You're never right." Roger grinned. It was the kind of grin that made Harry want to punch him and hug him at the same time. "Come on, Harry. When's the last time we had 10 grand? Never." "Exactly. So what do we got to lose?" Harry looked around the trailer. The water-stained ceiling. The carpet that was more stained than carpet. The kitchen where the fridge hummed like it was dying and probably was. He thought about his own place. A basement apartment in Hanmer that smelled like mildew and had a landlord who called twice a week asking about rent. What did they have to lose? Everything. And also nothing. "Friday night," Harry said finally. "Friday night. And if we get caught, I'm blaming you. Deal." They shook on it, which felt ridiculous and also necessary. Outside, the dog was still barking. The sun was setting, painting the trailer park in shades of orange and gray. Somewhere, someone was yelling about something. Somewhere else, a car wouldn't start. In Capriole, in the trailers and the basements and the rooms above the bars, people were always yelling about something, and nothing ever changed. But maybe this time would be different. Maybe. Chapter 2. The opportunity. Friday came the way Fridays always did. Too fast and not fast enough. Roger spent the week trying not to think about the heist, which meant he thought about it constantly. He ran the numbers in his head. 1,000 pounds of copper at $3 a pound was 3 grand. Split 3 ways, him, Harry, and Darren, that was 1,000 each. Not 10 grand like he'd told Harry, but still. $1,000 was $1,000. He didn't tell Harry about the revised math. Harry would have backed out. Thursday night, Roger called Darren to confirm. Darren sounded nervous, which was either a good sign or a terrible one. "You sure about this?" Darren said. "I'm sure." "Because if we get caught..." "We're not going to get caught. You're working security. You're literally the only person who's going to be there. What if someone drives by?" "Who's going to drive by? It's the middle of nowhere." "I don't know, man. I got a bad feeling." "You always got a bad feeling. That's why you're working night security at an abandoned mine instead of doing something useful." There was a pause. "That's mean, Roger." "I'm not being mean. I'm being honest. You want $1,000 or not?" Another pause. "Yeah." "Then quit worrying. I'll see you tomorrow night." Roger hung up before Darren could change his mind. Friday afternoon, he picked up Harry in his truck, a 2003 Silverado with a rusted-out bed and a passenger door that didn't open from the outside. Harry climbed in through the driver's side, sliding across the bench seat like he'd done 100 times before. "We doing this?" Harry said. "We're doing this." "You talked to Darren?" "Yeah, he's in." "He sound confident?" "He sounded like Darren." "So, no. He'll be fine. He just needs the money." They drove out of Capriole, heading north on Highway 1434. The road was empty, the way it always was this time of year. Late October in northern Ontario meant the tourists were gone and the locals were hunkered down, waiting for winter to arrive and ruin everything. The landscape rolled past, endless trees, the occasional gas station, a few houses that looked like they'd been abandoned mid-construction. Harry stared out the window, not saying anything. Roger could tell he was nervous. Harry was always nervous. That was his default state. "You ever think about leaving?" Harry said after a while. "Leavin' where?" "Here. Sudbury. Northern Ontario. All of it." Roger glanced at him. "Where would I go?" "I don't know. Somewhere warm. Somewhere with jobs. There's jobs here. There's shit jobs here. There's a difference." Roger didn't argue. Harry was right. The mines were mostly closed. The smelter was laying people off. The only jobs left were retail and fast food, and the kind of contract work that paid $10 an hour and offered no benefits. You could work 40 hours a week and still not make rent. "I thought about it," Roger said, "moving somewhere else, but it costs money to move, and I don't got money. So we're stuck." "We're not stuck. We're just waiting for the right opportunity." Harry laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. "The right opportunity, that's what you call this? Stealing copper wire in the middle of the night?" "I call it taking what's ours." "It's not ours. It's not anybody's. The company went bankrupt. The site's been abandoned for 15 years. That copper's just sitting there, rotten. We're doing the world a favor by cleaning it up." "You really believe that?" "I gotta believe something." They drove in silence for another 20 minutes. The sun was setting, turning the sky pink and purple. It was beautiful in the way that Northern Ontario was always beautiful, cold and indifferent and vast. The turnoff for the mining site was unmarked, just a gravel road that disappeared into the trees. Roger slowed down, looking for the entrance. He almost missed it, a rusted gate hanging open, a faded sign that said "No trespassing." "That's it," Roger said. "You sure?" "Darren said it's the first gate past the old gas station. This is it." Roger turned onto the gravel road. The truck bounced over potholes and rocks, the suspension groaning. The road wound through the trees for about a kilometer before opening up into a clearing. And there it was. The mining site looked like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Rusted equipment scattered everywhere. A few buildings with broken windows and collapsed roofs. Piles of rubble and old machinery. And in the center of it all, a massive pit. The old open-pit mine, now filled with dark water that reflected the sky like a mirror. "Jesus," Harry said. "Yeah." Roger parked the truck near one of the buildings. He turned off the engine and they sat there, staring at the site. It was bigger than Roger had imagined. More desolate. More real. "Where's Darren?" Harry said. "He's probably inside. He said he'd meet us by the main office." They got out of the truck. The air was cold, the kind of cold that cut through your jacket and settled in your bones. Roger pulled his hood up and started walking toward the largest building, a 2-story structure with a faded sign that said "Administration." The door was unlocked. Inside it was dark and smelled like mildew and rust. Roger pulled out his phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating overturned desks, filing cabinets with drawers hanging open, papers scattered everywhere. "Darren?" Roger called out. No answer. "Darren, you hear?" A door opened at the far end of the room. Darren Bouchard stepped out, wearing a security uniform that was 2 sizes too big. He looked like a kid playing dress-up. "You're late," Darren said. "We're not late. You said 8. It's 8. It's 8:15. "Close enough." Darren walked over, his flashlight bouncing with each step. He looked nervous, more nervous than usual. "You guys sure about this?" Darren said. "We're sure," Roger said. "Where's the copper?" "It's everywhere. There's wire in the buildings, wire in the equipment sheds, wire running underground. The problem is, most of it's still connected." "Connected to what?" "To the electrical system. You're gonna have to cut it." Roger looked at Harry. Harry looked back at him. "You didn't say we'd have to cut it," Harry said. "I didn't know we'd have to cut it," Roger said. "Well, we do," Darren said, "unless you want to just pull it out and hope for the best." "Can we do that?" "You can try, but it's going to take forever." Roger thought about it. Cutting wire wasn't hard. He had bolt cutters in the truck. They could do this. "Show us where it is," Roger said. Darren led them out of the administration building and across the clearing to a smaller structure, a shed with a corrugated metal roof and walls covered in graffiti. Inside, there were spools of copper wire stacked against the walls. Thick, heavy wire. the good stuff. "Holy shit," Roger said. "Yeah," Darren said. "There's probably 500 pounds just in here, and there's more in the other buildings." Harry picked up one of the spools. It was heavy, maybe 50 pounds. "How are we supposed to move all this?" "We load it in the truck," Roger said. "One spool at a time. That's going to take hours." "So we take hours. We got all night." Darren shifted his weight from one foot to the other. "I can only cover for you till midnight. After that, the next shift shows up." "There's another shift?" "Yeah. Some guy named Paul. He's new. I don't know if he's cool or not." Roger felt something tighten in his chest. "You didn't mention another shift." "I didn't think it mattered. You said you'd be in and out." "We will be. We just gotta work fast." They started loading the truck. It was hard work, lifting the spools, carrying them across the clearing, stacking them in the truck bed. Roger's back started hurting after the third spool. By the 10th, he was sweating despite the cold. Harry didn't complain, but Roger could see the strain on his face. This wasn't what they'd signed up for. This was supposed to be easy, quick, a couple hours of work, and then they'd be rich. But it wasn't easy. It was brutal. By 11 o'clock, they'd loaded maybe 300 pounds of copper. The truck bed was half full. They still had more to go. "We're not going to make it," Harry said, leaning against the truck and breathing hard. "We'll make it," Roger said. "It's 11. We got an hour. Then we work faster. I'm working as fast as I can." Roger looked at the shed. There was still so much wire left. Too much. They'd never get it all. "We take what we got," Roger said finally. 300 pounds is still good money." "How much?" "Maybe $900. 300 each." Harry stared at him. "You said we'd make 1,000 each." "I said maybe 1,000. "No, you said 1,000. "Well, I was wrong. We're making 300. $300 for this." "It's better than nothing." Harry didn't respond. He just stood there, staring at the truck like it had personally betrayed him. Darren came jogging over from the administration building. "You guys gotta go. Paul just called. He's gonna be here in 20 minutes. 20 minutes? I thought you said midnight." "He's coming early. I don't know why. You gotta go, now." Roger looked at the shed, then at the truck, then at Harry. "Let's go," Roger said. They climbed into the truck. Roger started the engine and pulled out of the clearing, the truck bouncing over the gravel road. In the rearview mirror, he could see Darren standing there, watching them leave. $300, Harry said quietly. "Yeah. For $300, we just committed a crime." "We didn't commit a crime. We salvaged abandoned property." "That's not what the cops are going to call it." Roger didn't respond. He focused on the road, on getting out of there before Paul showed up. The trees closed in around them, dark and silent. The headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating nothing but more trees. They drove back to Capriole in silence. The copper wire rattled in the truck bed, a constant reminder of what they'd done. Roger's hands were shaking. He told himself it was from the cold. When they got back to Roger's trailer, they unloaded the wire and stacked it in the shed out back. It took another hour. By the time they were done, it was past midnight and Roger's entire body ached. Harry stood in the driveway staring at the shed. "We really did that," Harry said. "Yeah. We really stole 300 pounds of copper wire. Yeah. And now we gotta sell it. Tomorrow. We'll take it to Marcel tomorrow." Harry nodded slowly. He looked exhausted, defeated, like he'd just realized something he should have known all along. "I'm going home," Harry said. "You want a beer first?" "No. I just want to go home." Roger watched him walk down the driveway and disappear into the darkness. Then he went inside, grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat down on the couch. The TV was still on. Another judge show. Another couple screaming about money. Roger turned it off. He sat in the silence, drinking his beer, thinking about the 300 pounds of copper wire in his shed and the $300 it would bring, and how that wasn't enough. It was never enough. But it was something. And in Capriole, something was better than nothing. Chapter 3. Assembling the Crew. Saturday morning came with a hangover and the realization that 300 pounds of copper wire was a lot harder to sell than Roger had anticipated. He called Marcel around 10, after 2 cups of instant coffee and a shower that ran out of hot water halfway through. Marcel Tremblay ran a scrapyard in Hanmer, just off Highway 17. He was in his 60s, built like a fire hydrant, and had the kind of face that suggested he'd seen every scam in the book and invented a few of his own. "Marcel, it's Roger Deschamps." "Who?" "Roger, from Capriole. We met at the Cap a few years back." "I meet a lot of people at the Cap." "I got some copper wire I'm looking to sell." There was a pause. "What kind of copper?" "Clean wire. Good stuff. About 300 pounds. "Where'd you get it?" "Does it matter?" "It matters if it's stolen." "It's not stolen. It's salvage." "Uh-huh. And where'd you salvage it from?" Roger hesitated. "An old mining site. Place has been abandoned for years." "Which site?" "Does it matter?" "Roger, I'm not buying stolen copper. I got a business to run. I can't have the cops showing up asking questions." "It's not stolen. I'm telling you, the place is abandoned. Nobody owns it." "Somebody always owns it." Roger rubbed his face. This was going worse than he'd expected. "Look, Marcel, I just need to sell this wire. You gonna buy it or not?" Another pause. "Bring it by Monday. I'll take a look. But if it's hot, I'm not touching it." "It's not hot. We'll see." Marcel hung up. Roger sat on his couch, staring at his phone. Monday. That was 2 days away. 2 days of sitting on 300 pounds of stolen copper wire, waiting for the cops to show up. He called Harry. "What?" Harry said. He sounded like he'd just woken up. "Marcel says he'll look at the wire Monday." "Monday? That's 2 days from now." "I know." "What are we supposed to do till then?" "I don't know. Wait. Great. That's a great plan, Roger." "You got a better idea?" Harry didn't respond. Roger could hear him breathing on the other end of the line, probably trying to decide whether to hang up or keep yelling. "We need help," Harry said finally. "Help with what?" "With moving the wire, with selling it, with not getting caught. We can't do this alone." "Who are we going to ask?" "I don't know. Somebody who knows how to move stolen goods." "It's not stolen." "Roger, it's stolen. Stop saying it's not stolen." Roger thought about it. Harry was right. They needed help. Someone who knew the game. Someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. "What about Tyler?" Roger said. "Tyler Boudreau?" "Yeah. The guy who got arrested for selling weed to an undercover cop. That was years ago. He's clean now." "He's not clean. He's just better at not getting caught." "Exactly. That's why we need him." Harry sighed. It was a long sigh, the kind that said he knew this was a bad idea but didn't have the energy to argue. "Call him," Harry said. "But if this goes sideways, I'm blaming you." "Deal." Roger hung up and scrolled through his contacts. Tyler Boudreau. He hadn't talked to Tyler in maybe a year, not since they'd run into each other at the beer store and Tyler had tried to sell him a stolen lawnmower. He called. Tyler answered on the third ring. "Yeah?" "Tyler, it's Roger." "Roger who?" "Roger Deschamps, from Capriole." "Oh, shit." "Roger, what's up, man?" "I got a business opportunity." "I'm listening." "I got 300 pounds of copper wire I need to move. You know anybody who buys scrap?" "Where'd you get 300 pounds of copper wire?" "Does it matter?" Tyler laughed. "Nah, man, it don't matter. You need help moving it?" "Yeah." "What's the split?" Roger hadn't thought about the split. He'd been thinking 3 ways, him, Harry, and Darren. But if Tyler was in, that made 4. 25%, Roger said. 30. 25. 30, or I'm out. Roger did the math. If they sold the wire for $900, 30% was $270. That left $630 split 3 ways, $210 each. Better than $300, but not by much. "Fine," Roger said. 30. "When we doing this?" "Monday. I'm taking it to Marcel's in Hanmer." "Marcel Tremblay? That guy's a hard-ass. He's not going to buy stolen wire." "It's not stolen." "Roger, it's stolen. But don't worry. I know a guy who'll take it, no questions asked. His name's Paulette, runs a shop in Isilda. He'll give you a fair price." "How fair?" $2 a pound." Roger's heart sank. $2 a pound was $600 total. Split 4 ways, that was $150 each. That's it? Roger said. That's the going rate for dirty copper. You want more, you gotta clean it first. How do we clean it? You burn off the insulation, but that takes time, and it smells like shit. And it's illegal. Everything's illegal. Exactly. So you want me to call Paulette or not? Roger thought about it. $150 wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. And it was better than sitting on stolen copper wire for another week, waiting for the cops to show up. Call him, Roger said. Done. I'll text you the address. We'll meet there Monday noon. Thanks, Tyler. No problem, man. This is gonna be fun. Tyler hung up. Roger sat on his couch staring at the ceiling. $150 for all that work, for all that risk. It wasn't enough, but it was something. Sunday passed in a haze of anxiety and cheap beer. Roger didn't leave his trailer. He kept expecting the cops to show up, to knock on his door and ask about the copper wire in his shed. But they never came. Harry called around 6. You talked to Tyler? Harry said. Yeah, he's got a buyer. Guy named Paulette in Isilda. How much? $2 a pound. That's it? That's it. So we're making $150 each. Yeah. Harry was quiet for a long time. This was a bad idea, Roger. I know. We risked going to jail for $150. I know. And we're not even done yet. We still gotta move the wire. We still gotta sell it. We still gotta hope nobody finds out. I know, Harry. I know. So why'd we do it? Roger didn't have an answer. Or maybe he did. But it wasn't one he wanted to say out loud. They did it because they were desperate. Because they were broke. Because they were tired of being broke and didn't know how else to fix it. We'll be fine, Roger said finally. You always say that. And I'm always right. You're never right. Roger hung up. Monday came with freezing rain, the kind that turned the roads into skating rinks and made everything miserable. Roger picked up Harry at 11. Tyler was waiting at the end of Roger's driveway, leaning against a rusted-out Civic and smoking a cigarette. Tyler Boudreaux was 35, but looked 50. Thin, wiry, with a face that suggested he'd spent most of his life making bad decisions and enjoying every minute of it. He wore a leather jacket that was too big and jeans that were too tight. Roger, my man, Tyler said, flicking a cigarette into the ditch. You ready to make some money? Let's just get this over with, Roger said. They loaded the copper wire into Tyler's Civic. It took 3 trips. The car sagged under the weight, the suspension groaning. This thing gonna make it to Isilda, Harry said. It'll make it, Tyler said. Probably. They drove in convoy, Roger's truck in front, Tyler's Civic behind. The roads were slick, the rain turning to sleet. Roger's windshield wipers barely worked, smearing the water across the glass instead of clearing it. Isilda was a 20-minute drive, a small town that was somehow even more depressing than Capriole. Paulette's shop was on the main drag, a squat building with a hand-painted sign that said Paulette's Scrap and Salvage. They pulled into the lot. Paulette was waiting outside, a short, round man in coveralls and a toque. He looked like someone's grandfather, which made Roger feel slightly better about the whole thing. You Roger? Paulette said. Yeah. Tyler says you got copper. 300 pounds. Let's see it. They unloaded the wire. Paulette inspected it, running his hands over the spools, checking the thickness, the insulation. It's dirty, Paulette said. Tyler said you'd take it dirty. I will, but I'm only paying $1.50 a pound. Roger's stomach dropped. Tyler said $2. Tyler was wrong. Roger looked at Tyler. Tyler shrugged. Market fluctuates, man. $1.50, Roger said. That's $4.50 total. That's the offer, Paulette said. Take it or leave it. Roger looked at Harry. Harry looked back at him, his face unreadable. We'll take it, Roger said. Paulette pulled out a roll of cash and counted out $450. He handed it to Roger. Pleasure doing business, Paulette said. They loaded back into the vehicles and drove out of the lot. Roger's hands were shaking. $450. Split 4 ways, that was $112.50 each. $112.50. for all of that. They stopped at a Tim Hortons on the way back. Roger divided the money in the parking lot, handing out the bills like he was dealing cards. $112, Harry said, staring at the money. We risked going to jail for $112. It's better than nothing, Roger said. Is it? Tyler pocketed his share and grinned. Same time next week? Fuck off, Tyler, Harry said. Tyler laughed and drove away. Roger and Harry sat in the truck, the engine idling, the heater blowing cold air. We're not doing this again, Harry said. I know. I'm serious, Roger. We're not doing this again. I know. But even as he said it, Roger was already thinking about the next opportunity, the next idea, the next scheme that would finally be the one that worked. Because what else was there? Chapter 4. The Heist. 3 weeks passed. Roger spent his $112 on groceries, gas, and a case of beer that was gone by Wednesday. By the end of the month, he was broke again. Broker than before, actually, because now he owed his landlord 2 months' rent and the power company was threatening to cut him off. Harry wasn't doing any better. His landlord had started leaving notes on his door, polite at first, then increasingly aggressive. The last one had said, "Pay or leave, your choice." It wasn't really a choice. They met at the Cap on a Thursday night, sitting in their usual spot by the window. The bar was half empty, the way it always was on weeknights. A few regulars at the pool table, a couple of old-timers nursing beers at the bar. Paulette, the bartender, not the same Paulette from Azilda, brought them 2 Molsons without being asked. "You boys look like shit," she said. "Thanks, Paulette," Roger said. "I'm serious. You okay?" "We're fine." She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push it. She went back to the bar, leaving them alone. Harry stared at his beer. "I got evicted." "What?" "This morning. Landlord changed the locks. All my stuff's in garbage bags on the lawn." "Jesus, Harry?" "Yeah." "Where you gonna stay?" "I don't know. Maybe my mom's. Maybe my truck." Roger felt something twist in his chest. Harry's mom lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Hanmer. There was no room for Harry, and sleeping in a truck in November was a death sentence. "You can stay with me," Roger said. "You got room? I got a couch?" "Your couch smells like beer and sadness." "It's better than freezing to death." Harry nodded slowly. "Thanks, Raj." They drank in silence. Outside, the rain had started again, drumming against the window. A transport truck roared past, its headlights cutting through the darkness. "I got an idea," Roger said. Harry closed his eyes. "No. Just listen." "I don't want to listen." "Harry, every time you got an idea, we end up worse off than before. Every time. This is different. It's never different." Roger leaned forward, lowering his voice. "You remember that mining site? The one in Cartier? The one where we stole copper wire and made $100? We made 112. "Oh, wow, 112. That changes everything." "Harry, listen. We didn't get all the copper. There's still hundreds of pounds of it out there. Maybe thousands. We go back, we take more, we sell it to someone who'll actually pay us what it's worth. And how are we going to do that? We bring more people. We bring trucks. We do it right this time." Harry stared at him. "You're serious?" "I'm serious." "Roger, we barely got away with it last time. Darren said the new security guy almost caught us. You want to go back and try again? Darren's not working there anymore. He got fired." "How do you know?" "I called him. He said the company found out he was letting people on the site. They canned him. So there's no inside man. We don't need an inside man. The place is abandoned. We just go in, take what we need, and leave. And if we get caught, we won't. You said that last time. And we didn't get caught. We got lucky." Roger didn't argue. Harry was right. They'd gotten lucky, but luck was all they had. "I need this, Harry," Roger said quietly. "I'm 2 months behind on rent. My truck's gonna get repossessed. I got nothing. And you got nothing. So what are we supposed to do? Just sit here and wait for things to get worse?" Harry looked at him, really looked at him, and Roger saw something in his eyes, Not agreement exactly, but resignation. The kind of resignation that came from knowing you were out of options. "Who else you got in mind?" Harry said. "Tyler? And maybe Donnie Marchand." "Donnie? The kid who works at Canadian Tire?" "He's not a kid. He's 26. He lives with his mom." "So, he's got a truck, and he needs money." Harry finished his beer. "When?" "Saturday night." "This Saturday?" "Yeah. That's 3 days from now." "I know." Harry rubbed his face with both hands. "This is a bad idea." "Probably. We're going to get caught." "Maybe. And if we do, we're going to jail." "Then we better not get caught." Harry stood up. "I'm going outside for a smoke." "You want company?" "No." Roger watched him go. Through the window he could see Harry standing in the rain, lighting a cigarette, staring at nothing. Roger pulled out his phone and texted Tyler. "You in for another job?" The reply came 30 seconds later. "Always. What's the pay?" Roger didn't know. He hadn't thought that far ahead, but he typed, "Better than last time." Tyler. "I'm in." Roger texted Donnie next. "You want to make some money?" Donnie. "Doing what?" Roger. "I'll explain Saturday." "You in?" Donnie. "How much money?" Roger. "Enough." Donnie. "Okay." Roger put his phone away. 3 guys, 3 trucks, 1 night. It would work. It had to work. Saturday came with clear skies and a cold wind that cut through your jacket like a knife. Roger spent the day gathering supplies: bolt cutters, work gloves, flashlights, a tarp to cover the copper. He maxed out his credit card, buying gas. Harry showed up at 6, looking like he hadn't slept. He probably hadn't. "You ready?" Roger said. "No?" "Me neither." They drove to Tyler's place first. Tyler lived in a basement apartment in Hanmer, the kind of place where the ceiling was so low you had to duck when you walked through doorways. He was waiting outside, smoking a cigarette and wearing the same leather jacket he always wore. "Let's do this," Tyler said, climbing into the truck. They picked up Donnie next. Donnie Marchand was tall and skinny, with a baby face and a nervous energy that made him seem younger than he was. He lived with his mom in a bungalow on the edge of Capriole. His truck, a Ford Ranger with a cracked windshield, was parked in the driveway. "You sure about this?" Donnie said as he climbed into the back seat. "We're sure," Roger said, "because I can't get arrested. My mom would kill me." "You're not going to get arrested." "But what if—" "Donnie," Harry said, turning around in his seat. "If you're not in, say so now. Otherwise, shut up." Donnie shut up. They drove north on Highway 144, the same route Roger and Harry had taken 3 weeks ago. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. It was beautiful. Roger tried to enjoy it, but all he could think about was the heist. The turnoff for the mining site was exactly where Roger remembered it. He slowed down, looking for the gate. It was still there, still hanging open. "That's it," Roger said. He turned onto the gravel road. Donnie followed in his truck. The road was rougher than Roger remembered, full of potholes and rocks. The truck bounced and groaned, the suspension barely holding. The clearing opened up in front of them. The mining site looked the same. Rusted equipment, collapsed buildings, the dark water of the pit reflecting the sky. "Holy shit," Donnie said. "Yeah," Roger said. They parked near the equipment shed. Roger turned off the engine and they sat there, staring at the site. "Okay," Roger said. "Here's the plan. We split up. Me and Harry take the shed. Tyler and Donnie take the administration building. We load as much copper as we can in 2 hours. Then we leave." "What if someone shows up?" Donnie said. "Nobody's going to show up." "But what if they do? Then we run." "Run where?" "Anywhere. Just run." Donnie didn't look reassured. They got out of the trucks. The air was cold, the wind cutting through the clearing. Roger pulled on his gloves and grabbed the bolt cutters. "Let's go," he said. They split up. Roger and Harry headed to the equipment shed. Inside, it was dark and smelled like rust and oil. Roger turned on his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the spools of copper wire stacked against the walls. "There's so much," Harry said. "Yeah." They started loading. It was hard work, just like last time. Lifting the spools, carrying them to the truck, stacking them in the bed. Roger's back started hurting after the first 10 minutes. By 30 minutes, he was sweating despite the cold. Harry didn't complain, but Roger could see the strain on his face. "How much we got?" Harry said. "Maybe 200 pounds? We need more." "I know." They kept loading. An hour passed, then 90 minutes. Roger's arms felt like they were going to fall off. His back was screaming, but they kept going. At 2 hours, Roger called it. "That's it," he said. "We're done." They walked back to the trucks. Tyler and Donnie were already there, their truck beds full of copper wire. "How much you get?" Roger said. "Maybe 300 pounds, Tyler said. "You?" "About the same." "So, 600 total." "Yeah." Roger did the math. 600 pounds at $2 a pound was $1,200. Split 4 ways, that was 300 each. Better than last time. Not great, but better. "Let's get out of here," Roger said. They climbed into the trucks. Roger started the engine and pulled out of the clearing. In the rearview mirror, he could see the mining site disappearing into the darkness. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. For the first time in weeks, Roger felt something like hope. Chapter 5. The Heat. Sunday morning, Roger woke up with a sense of accomplishment that lasted exactly as long as it took him to check his phone. 3 missed calls, all from the same number. He didn't recognize it, but something about it made his stomach tighten. He called Harry. "You get any weird calls?" Roger said. "What kind of weird calls?" "I don't know, just weird." "Roger, it's 8 in the morning. I'm not awake enough for your paranoia." "I'm not paranoid. I just got 3 calls from a number I don't know. So don't answer it. What if it's important? What if it's a telemarketer?" Roger hung up. He stared at his phone. The number called again. This time he answered. "Yeah? Is this Roger Deschamps?" A man's voice, official sounding. "Who's asking?" "This is Constable Morrison with the Ontario Provincial Police. I need to ask you a few questions about an incident at a mining site in Cartier." Roger's blood went cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Mr. Deschamps, we have security footage showing 2 vehicles entering the site Saturday night. One of them matches the description of your truck." "My truck? Lots of people got trucks like mine." "The license plate matches too." Roger's mind raced. Security footage. They'd said there was no security. Darren had said, Darren had lied. "I want a lawyer," Roger said. "You're not under arrest, Mr. Deschamps. I just want to talk." "I got nothing to say." "If you cooperate, this'll go a lot easier." "I said I got nothing to say." Roger hung up. His hands were shaking. He called Harry. "They know?" Roger said. "Who knows?" "The cops. They got security footage. They know it was us." There was a long pause. "Fuck." "Yeah." "What do we do?" "I don't know." "Roger, what do we do?" "I don't know." Roger hung up. He paced his trailer, his mind spinning. Security footage. That meant they had evidence. That meant they could prove it was him. He called Tyler. "Tyler, we got a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The cops called. They got security footage from the mining site." "Shit." "Yeah." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing. I hung up." "Good. Don't say nothing. They can't prove anything if we don't talk." "They got footage, Tyler. They can prove everything." "Footage don't mean shit if they can't tie it to the copper." "Where's the copper now?" Roger's stomach dropped. "It's in my shed." "You still got it?" "We were supposed to sell it tomorrow." "Roger, you gotta get rid of it. Now." "How?" "I don't know. Bury it. Burn it. Throw it in the fucking lake. Just get rid of it." Roger hung up. He ran outside to the shed. The copper wire was still there, stacked in the corner, gleaming in the dim light. 600 pounds of evidence. He called Harry again. "We gotta move the copper," Roger said. "Move it where?" "I don't know. Somewhere. Anywhere." "Roger, if we move it, they'll know we're guilty. If we don't move it, they'll arrest us." Harry was quiet for a long time. "Bring it to my mom's. She's got a garage. We can hide it there." "Your mom's gonna let us hide stolen copper in her garage?" "She don't gotta know what it is." Roger didn't have a better idea. They moved the copper that afternoon, loading it into Roger's truck and driving it to Harry's mom's place in Hanmer. Harry's mom, a tiny woman in her 70s with a cigarette permanently attached to her lip, watched from the porch as they unloaded it into the garage. "What is that?" she said. "Scrap metal," Harry said. "We're going to sell it. It better not be stolen." "It's not stolen, Ma." She didn't look convinced, but she went back inside. They stacked the copper in the corner of the garage, covering it with a tarp. Roger's back was screaming. His hands were blistered. He felt like he'd aged 10 years in the past 24 hours. "What now?" Harry said. "Now we wait." "Wait for what?" "I don't know. For them to arrest us. For this to blow over. For something." Harry lit a cigarette. "This was a bad idea, Roger." "I know. We're going to go to jail." "Maybe." "Maybe." "Roger, they got footage. They got our license plates. They probably got our faces. We're fucked." Roger didn't argue. Harry was right. They were fucked. His phone rang. Constable Morrison again. Roger didn't answer. Chapter 6. Doubling Down. Monday morning came with a sense of dread that settled in Roger's chest like a stone. He hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw police cars pulling up to his trailer, officers with handcuffs, his life ending in a courtroom. Harry called at 9. "They called me," Harry said. "The cops?" "Yeah, same guy, Morrison. He wants me to come in for an interview." "What did you say?" "I said I'd think about it." "Don't go." "Roger, if I don't go, they're going to think I'm guilty." "You are guilty." "I know that, but they don't know that." Roger rubbed his face. "What do we do?" "I don't know. Maybe we should just turn ourselves in, get it over with. And go to jail? Better than waiting for them to come get us." Roger thought about it. Jail. He'd never been to jail. He'd been arrested a couple of times, drunk and disorderly, driving without insurance, but never anything serious, never anything that would put him away. "I'm not going to jail," Roger said. "Then what are we going to do? We sell the copper, we get the money, we pay off our debts, and then we figure out the rest." "Roger, the cops know. They're watching us. If we try to sell the copper, they're going to catch us. Then we sell it to someone they're not watching. Who?" Roger thought about it. Marcel was out. Too risky. Paulette and Isilda was out. Same reason. They needed someone off the grid. Someone who didn't ask questions. "I know a guy," Roger said. "What guy?" "His name's Serge. He runs a chop shop out in Cartier. He'll buy anything." "A chop shop? Roger, that's even worse." "It's our only option." Harry was quiet for a long time. "This is a bad idea." "I know. We're going to get caught." "Maybe. And if we do, we're going to jail for a long time. Then we better not get caught." Serge Laporte ran his operation out of a barn on a back road in Cartier, about 10 kilometers from the mining site. Roger had met him years ago through a guy who knew a guy. Serge was in his 50s, built like a bear, with a beard that looked like it had never been trimmed and a voice like gravel in a blender. Roger called him Monday afternoon. "Serge, it's Roger Deschamps." "Who?" "Roger. From Capriole. We met at... I don't care where we met. What do you want?" "I got some copper wire I need to move. You interested?" "How much?" £600. There was a pause. "That's a lot of copper." "Yeah." "Where'd you get it?" "Does it matter?" "It matters if the cops are looking for it." Roger hesitated. "They might be. Might be, or are." "Are?" Serge laughed. It wasn't a friendly laugh. "You got balls, Roger. I'll give you that." "So you'll buy it?" "I'll buy it, but I'm only paying $1 a pound, and you got to deliver it tonight." $1 a pound? That's the price for hot copper. Take it or leave it." Roger did the math. 600 pounds at $1 a pound was $600, split 4 ways. That was $150 each, $150 for all of this. "I'll take it," Roger said. "Be here at midnight, and come alone." "I'm bringing my partner." "Fine, but nobody else. And if you bring the cops, I'll kill you." Serge hung up. Roger sat on his couch staring at his phone. $150. It wasn't enough. It wasn't even close to enough. But it was all they had. They loaded the copper into Roger's truck at 11, working in the dark, trying not to wake Harry's mom. The wire was heavy, awkward, and by the time they were done, Roger's back felt like it was going to snap in half. They drove to Serge's place in silence. The road was dark, empty, the kind of road where you could disappear and nobody would notice. Serge's barn was lit by a single floodlight. The door was open. Inside, Roger could see cars in various states of disassembly, hoods off, doors missing, engines pulled out. It looked like a graveyard for vehicles. Sergei was waiting outside, smoking a cigarette. He looked exactly like Roger remembered. Big, mean, and completely unbothered by the fact that he was buying stolen goods in the middle of the night. "You, Roger?" Serge said. "Yeah." "Let's see it." They unloaded the copper. Serge inspected it, running his hands over the wire, checking the weight. "It's good," Serge said. 600 pounds, like you said." He pulled out a roll of cash and counted out $600. He handed it to Roger. "Pleasure doing business," Serge said. Roger and Harry climbed back into the truck. Roger's hands were shaking as he divided the money, 300 for him, 300 for Harry. Tyler and Donnie would get their cuts later. $150, Harry said, staring at the money. "Yeah. We risked going to jail for $150. "Yeah." Harry laughed. It was a bitter, exhausted laugh. "We're idiots." "Yeah." They drove back to Capriole in silence. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky pink and orange. It was beautiful. Roger tried to enjoy it, but all he could think about was the $150 in his pocket and the cops who were probably already looking for him. His phone rang. Constable Morrison. Roger didn't answer. Chapter 7. The Walls. Close in Tuesday morning, Roger woke up to someone pounding on his door. He stumbled out of bed, his head pounding, his mouth tasting like something had died in it. He opened the door. Constable Morrison stood on his porch, flanked by another officer. Morrison was in his 40s, with a face that suggested he'd seen every scam in the book and wasn't impressed by any of them. "Mr. Deschamps," Morrison said, "we need to talk." "I got nothing to say." "We have a warrant to search your property." Morrison held up a piece of paper. Roger's stomach dropped. "Search for what?" "Stolen copper wire." "I don't got any stolen copper wire." "Then you won't mind if we look." Roger stepped aside. He didn't have a choice. The officers tore through his trailer like they were looking for a body. They opened drawers, checked closets, pulled up couch cushions. They went through his shed, moving boxes, checking corners. They didn't find anything, because there was nothing to find. Morrison came back inside, looking frustrated. "Where is it, Roger?" "Where's what?" "The copper. We know you took it. We have footage." "I don't know what you're talking about." "We have your truck on camera. We have your license plate. We have you and another man loading copper wire into your vehicle." "That wasn't me." "It was you, Roger. And if you don't cooperate, this is going to get a lot worse." Roger crossed his arms. "I want a lawyer." Morrison stared at him for a long moment. Then he pulled out a business card and set it on the coffee table. "Call me when you're ready to talk," Morrison said. The officers left. Roger sat on his couch, his hands shaking. They knew everything. It was only a matter of time before they found the copper, before they arrested him, before his life was over. He called Harry. "They searched my place," Roger said. "Did they find anything?" "No, but they know, Harry. They know it was us." "What do we do?" "I don't know." "Roger, I can't go to jail. I can't." "I know. So, what do we do?" Roger didn't have an answer. That afternoon, Roger met Tyler and Donnie at the cab. He handed them their cuts, $150 each. They didn't look happy. "That's it?" Tyler said. "That's it? We risked our asses for $150? "Yeah." Tyler shook his head. "This is bullshit, Roger." "I know." "The cops called me this morning. They want me to come in for an interview." "What did you say?" "I said no, but they're going to keep calling. They're going to keep pushing, and eventually, one of us is going to crack." "Nobody's going to crack." "You sure about that?" Tyler looked at Donnie. "What about you, Donnie? You going to crack?" Donnie looked like he was about to cry. I don't want to go to jail. None of us want to go to jail, Tyler said. But that's where we're headed if we don't figure this out. Roger rubbed his face. We just gotta stay calm. We don't talk to the cops. We don't say nothing. They can't prove anything if we don't talk. They got footage, Roger. Footage don't mean shit if they can't find the copper. Where's the copper? It's gone. We sold it. To who? Doesn't matter. It's gone. That's all that matters. Tyler didn't look convinced. Neither did Donnie. I'm out, Tyler said, standing up. I'm done with this. You guys are on your own. He walked out. Donnie looked at Roger. I'm sorry, Roger. I can't do this. My mom. It's fine, Donnie. Just go. Donnie left. Roger sat alone at the table, staring at his beer. The bar was empty except for a few regulars. The TV was on, playing the news. Something about a break-in at a mining site in Cartier. Roger turned it off. Wednesday, the call started. First, it was Morrison again. Then it was a number Roger didn't recognize. Then another, and another. He didn't answer any of them. Harry called in the afternoon. They're watching my mom's place, Harry said. What? There's a cop car parked across the street. They've been there all day. Shit. Roger, they know. They know we hid the copper there. How? I don't know. Maybe they followed us. Maybe someone talked. It doesn't matter. They know. Roger felt the walls closing in. What do? We turn ourselves in. No. Roger, it's over. We're caught. If we turn ourselves in now, maybe they'll go easy on us. I'm not going to jail, Harry. Then what are we going to do? Run? Roger thought about it. Running. He'd never run from anything in his life. But maybe now was the time to start. Yeah, Roger said. We run. Chapter 8. The Unraveling. Thursday morning, Roger packed a bag. He didn't have much. Some clothes, a toothbrush, the $150 he'd made from the copper. He threw it all in a duffel bag and walked out to his truck. Harry was waiting in the driveway. You serious about this? Harry said. I'm serious. Where are we going to go? North, into the bush, somewhere they can't find us. Roger, we can't just disappear. They'll find us eventually. Maybe. But at least we'll have time to figure things out. Harry didn't argue. He climbed into the truck. They drove north on Highway 144, past Cartier, past the mining site, into the endless expanse of trees and lakes that made up northern Ontario. The road was empty. The sky was gray. It felt like the end of the world. You think they're following us? Harry said. I don't know. You think they got roadblocks set up? I don't know, Harry. I don't know anything. They drove in silence. An hour passed. Then 2. The gas gauge was dropping. Roger had maybe a quarter tank left, not enough to get them anywhere useful. We need gas, Roger said. Where are we going to get gas? There's a station in Folayet. We'll stop there. Folayet was a tiny town, barely more than a gas station and a few houses. Roger pulled into the station and filled up the truck. He paid with the last of his cash. Inside, the clerk, a woman in her 60s with a face like a dried apple, stared at him. You okay, hun? She said. I'm fine. You don't look fine. I said I'm fine. Roger walked out. Harry was standing by the truck smoking a cigarette. We gotta keep moving, Roger said. Where? I don't know. Just away. They got back in the truck and kept driving. The road stretched out in front of them, endless and empty. Roger's hands were shaking. His chest felt tight. He couldn't breathe. I can't do this, Roger said. Can't do what? This. Running. Hiding. I can't do it. Roger, I'm turning around. What? I'm turning around. I'm going back. I'm going to turn myself in. Harry stared at him. You sure? No, but I don't got any other choice. Roger turned the truck around and started driving south, back toward Sudbury, back toward the cops, back toward whatever was waiting for him. They pulled into the OPP detachment in Sudbury just after noon. Roger parked the truck and sat there, staring at the building. You ready? Harry said. No, me neither. They got out of the truck and walked inside. The receptionist, a young woman with a bored expression, looked up. Can I help you? I'm here to turn myself in, Roger said. For what? Theft, copper wire, From a mining site in Cartier. The receptionist picked up the phone. I'll get Constable Morrison. Morrison came out 5 minutes later. He didn't look surprised. Mr. Deschamps, Morrison said, I was wondering when you'd show up. I'm here now. And Mr. LeBlanc, good to see you too. Harry didn't respond. Morrison led them to an interview room, a small, windowless space with a table and 3 chairs. He sat down across from them. "Okay," Morrison said. "Let's start from the beginning." Chapter 9. On the Run. Roger told Morrison everything. The heist, the copper, the sale to Serge. He didn't see the point in lying anymore. They had the footage. They had the evidence. It was over. Harry confirmed the story. He looked exhausted, like he'd aged 10 years in the past week. Morrison took notes. He didn't seem angry, just tired. "You know you're both going to be charged, right?" Morrison said. "Yeah," Roger said. "Theft over 5,000. That's a serious charge. You're looking at jail time." "How much?" "Depends on the judge. Could be a few months, could be a few years." Roger felt his stomach drop. Years. He could go to jail for years. "What about the others?" Morrison said. "Tyler Boudreau, Donnie Marchand. They involved?" Roger hesitated. He didn't want to rat them out, but he also didn't want to take the fall alone. "Yeah," Roger said. "They were involved." Morrison nodded. "We'll bring them in." They arrested Roger and Harry that afternoon. Handcuffs, Miranda rights, the whole thing. Roger felt like he was in a movie, except it wasn't a movie. It was his life. They spent the night in a holding cell, a small concrete room with a metal bench and a toilet that didn't flush properly. Harry sat on the bench, staring at the wall. Roger paced. "I'm sorry," Roger said. "For what?" "For getting you into this." Harry laughed. It was a bitter, exhausted laugh. "You didn't get me into this. I got myself into this. I could have said no, I could have walked away, but I didn't." "Why not?" "Because I'm an idiot. Same as you." They sat in silence. Outside they could hear voices, footsteps, the sound of doors opening and closing. "You think we're going to jail?" Roger said. "Yeah." "For how long?" "I don't know. Long enough." Roger sat down on the bench. His back hurt. His head hurt. Everything hurt. "I'm tired, Harry." "Me too. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of being desperate. I'm tired of making bad decisions." "Then stop making bad decisions." "I don't know how." Harry looked at him. "Yeah, me neither." They were released on bail the next morning. Roger's mom, who he hadn't spoken to in 2 years, posted the money. She didn't say anything when she picked him up, just drove him back to his trailer and left. Harry's mom did the same. Roger sat in his trailer staring at the eviction notice on his door. He had a court date in 3 weeks. Until then, he was free. Sort of. Chapter 10. Back to square one. The courtroom smelled like floor polish and old wood. Roger sat at the defendant's table, wearing the same dress shirt he'd worn to his uncle's funeral 4 years ago. It didn't fit right anymore. Too tight around the gut, too loose in the shoulders. Harry sat beside him in a button-up from Value Village, the collar frayed at the edges. Their public defender, a tired-looking woman named Christine LeBlanc, shuffled papers beside them. She'd met with them twice. Both times she'd looked at them like they were children who'd gotten caught stealing candy. "Just let me do the talkin'," she'd said. "Don't volunteer anything. Don't try to explain. Just answer the judge's questions if he asks." Roger nodded. Harry said nothing. The judge was an older guy, gray hair, reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked like someone's grandfather, the kind who'd fix your car and then lecture you about responsibility. "Mr. Deschamps, Mr. Kowalski." The judge didn't look up from the file. "You're both charged with theft over $5,000, break and enter, and mischief. How do you plead?" Christine stood. "Guilty, Your Honor, on all counts." The judge looked up. "You understand what you're pleading guilty to?" Roger nodded. "Yes, sir." "Mr. Kowalski?" Harry cleared his throat. "Yeah. Yes, Your Honor." The judge leaned back in his chair. He looked tired, like he'd seen this exact thing 100 times before. "Ms. LeBlanc, what do you have to say on behalf of your clients?" Christine stood again. "Your Honor, Both Mr. Deschamps and Mr. Kowalski are first-time offenders. They cooperated fully with the police investigation. They turned themselves in voluntarily. They've both expressed genuine remorse for their actions." Roger wasn't sure genuine remorse was the right phrase. He was sorry they got caught. He was sorry it didn't work. But remorse? That felt like a stretch. "They're both employed." "Part-time," the Crown Attorney interrupted. "They're both employed," Christine continued, "and they're both willing to make restitution for the damages caused." The judge looked at Roger. "Mr. Deschamps, do you have anything to say?" Roger stood. His legs felt shaky. Yeah. Yes, Your Honor. I made a mistake, a big one, and I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking straight. I was desperate, and I did something stupid, and I know that's not an excuse, but—" "Mr. Deschamps." Roger stopped. "Do you have a job?" "Yes, sir. I work at the Esso in Capriole, part-time." "How much do you make?" 14 an hour, maybe 20 hours a week." The judge wrote something down. "And you thought stealing copper wire was a good idea?" Roger didn't know how to answer that. "I wasn't thinking, sir." "Clearly." The judge looked at Harry. "Mr. Kowalski?" Harry stood. He looked like he wanted to disappear. "I don't got much to say, Your Honor. I made a bad choice. I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway. That's on me." The judge nodded. He looked back at the file, flipping through pages. "The Crown is recommending 18 months probation, a fine of $2,000 each, and 100 hours of community service. Ms. LeBlanc, do you have any objections?" Christine shook her head. "No, Your Honor. My clients are prepared to accept those terms." The judge looked at Roger and Harry. "You understand what probation means. You'll have conditions. No contact with your co-accused. No leaving the province without permission. Regular check-ins with a probation officer. Any violation and you're back here, possibly facing jail time." Roger nodded. "Yes, sir." "Mr. Kowalski?" "Yeah. I understand." The judge signed something. "Mr. Deschamps, Mr. Kowalski, you're both sentenced to 18 months probation. You'll each pay a fine of $2,000, payable within 12 months. You'll each complete 100 hours of community service. You're prohibited from contacting each other for the duration of your probation. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor," Roger said. "Yeah," Harry said. The judge looked at them one more time. "Gentlemen, you're lucky. This could have been a lot worse. Don't waste this opportunity. Court is adjourned." The gavel came down. Roger sat back down. His hands were shaking. Christine packed up her briefcase. "You're free to go. Your probation officer will contact you within the week. Don't miss any appointments. Don't screw this up." "We won't," Roger said. She didn't look convinced. 8 weeks later, Roger sat in his trailer, staring at a stack of bills on the kitchen table. Hydro, overdue, phone, overdue, probation fine, overdue. He'd been working at the Esso, but they'd cut his hours. Something about restructuring. He was down to 12 hours a week. 12 hours at $14 an hour. That was $168. Before taxes, it wasn't enough. It was never enough. His phone buzzed. A text from his probation officer. "Appointment tomorrow, 2 p.m. Don't be late." Roger sighed. He didn't have gas money to get to Sudbury. He'd have to borrow from his mom again. She'd say yes, but she wouldn't be happy about it. There was a knock at the door. Roger opened it. Harry stood on the steps, hands in his pockets, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "You're not supposed to be here," Roger said. "I know." "If Morrison finds out, I don't care." Harry stepped inside. He looked around the trailer. Same mess, same smell, same everything. "You got any beer?" "No." "Coffee?" "Instant." "That'll work." Roger put the kettle on. They sat at the table, not saying anything. The silence stretched out, heavy and familiar. "I got fired," Harry said finally. "From the grocery store?" "Yeah. They said I was late too many times, which is bullshit, because I was only late twice, and both times it was because my truck wouldn't start." "That sucks." "Yeah." Roger stirred his coffee. "I'm broke." "Me too." "Like, really broke. I got maybe 40 bucks to my name, and I owed $2,000 in fines. Same. They sat in silence again. Outside, a dog barked. A car drove past, bass thumping. You ever think about leaving? Harry said. Leaving where? Here. Capriole, Sudbury, all of it? Roger shrugged. Where would I go? I don't know. Somewhere else? Somewhere where things are different. Things aren't different anywhere. You're still you. I'm still me. We'd just be broke somewhere else. Harry nodded. Yeah, I guess. Roger stared at his coffee. The steam rose in lazy spirals. He thought about the copper, about the heist, about how close they'd come to actually pulling it off. If they'd just been smarter, if they'd just planned better, if they'd just... I got an idea, Roger said. Harry closed his eyes. He didn't sigh. He didn't groan. He just sat there, perfectly still, like a man who'd heard this sentence too many times and knew exactly where it led. Roger, just hear me out. No. Harry, no. Whatever it is, no. Roger leaned forward. You remember that old rail line, the one that runs through Cartier? Harry opened his eyes. The abandoned one? Yeah. There's copper in the signal boxes. Miles of it. Nobody's using it. Nobody's watching it. It's just sitting there. Harry stared at him. You're serious? I'm serious. Roger, we just got out of court. We're on probation. We can't even talk to each other and you want to go steal more copper? It's not stealing. It's salvage. It's theft. It's opportunity. Harry rubbed his face. He looked exhausted, defeated, like a man who'd run out of fight but couldn't figure out how to stop moving. This is insane, Harry said. I know. We're gonna get caught. Maybe. We're gonna go to jail. Probably not. Roger, Harry, listen. We got nothing. You got nothing. I got nothing. We're both broke. We're both on probation, and we're both going to be stuck in this same shit for the rest of our lives unless we do something. And stealing copper is something. It's better than nothing. Harry stared at him. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. Then Harry sighed. It was a long, slow, defeated sigh. The kind of sigh that carried the weight of every bad decision he'd ever made and every bad decision he was about to make. I'm listening, Harry said. Roger grinned. That manic, optimistic, delusional grin that Harry had seen 1,000 times before. Okay, Roger said. So, here's what we do. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink, the kind of sky that made northern Ontario look almost beautiful. Inside the trailer, 2 men sat at a table planning another heist, because some people never learn. And some traps you walk into with your eyes wide open.